All right, well, we're out here today. We're back with this new 240, and we're trying to, I guess, still assess what we got going on here. What's what? But the previous owner told me that they think that part of the reason that this thing isn't running very well has to do with the wideband sensor. So we're going to replace that. If anything, we have an extra. If that doesn't turn out to be the problem. It's back there behind the steering shaft or whatever. It's kind of in a difficult spot to get to, but we'll do our best. I mean, there's only one tight spot thingy that we have to dig with today, but we're gonna get that swapped out and get the computer hooked up to her and see what she does. Hopefully that helps. At any rate, it's pretty exciting. It's probably the first time I'll be crawling under this car, and we'll get to have a better look at what's going on underneath there. I bought some of that tape. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a special kind of tape, like a cloth fabric type tape that they use for harnesses. I guess the OEMs use this stuff to wrap this all up and get this looking good, because it's all loose, it's nasty, and I don't like it. Definitely needs to be tidied up, cleaned up, and preserved, because the way it is right now, it's just an accident waiting to happen. It's just all over the place, and I'm not with that. That's a whole nother level of don't give a fuck, and I'm not on that. At any rate, we're gonna get into this, see what we can see, and I'll be back with more news. All right, we're under here. Coil over. It's got this cool little drop spindle here on the tie rod. That's neat. Got these cool control arms here. I can't remember the company name, but you can see the little there, the letters embossing, the TE whatever. I know the company. I have the page pulled up, but I don't know their name or whatever. There's some interesting shit here. We got some kind of a weird crossover line here for the power steering. It loops underneath the transmission. I don't know why that pathing was chosen, but we'll see what I can do to reroute that, because I don't like it. It looks like it would just vibrate and drag on the ground. Let's see. Got our custom swap engine mounts over there. They don't look like custom jobs. They look like purchase stuffs, which, you know, lines up. We got our adapter plate for the transmission. I mean, everything up here is really dirty, but that's the adapter plate. You can see the flywheel up in there. I'm gonna give it a couple angles, see what we can see. It looks like a custom aluminum flywheel or something like that. And then there's our transmission cross member again, which doesn't look like some crap that they hobbled together on their own. It looks like something that was purchased. It's very, you know, specific, and you know, like it is made that way. It's I mean, the way that it sits inside the mount here or whatever. Anyway, we got this neat little exhaust that they made, where they did like a V, and then it goes into this nice MagnaFlow rear section. So it goes from this smaller stuff, which I'm thinking is like 2-inch, to that looks like 3-inch back there, all the way back, which is real nice. So there's lots of little goodies up in here. The frame rails aren't the worst I've ever seen. I've seen these that are just like absolutely destroyed. They're not all rusted out or whatever. They have taken some beatings, but they're not the worst. I haven't gotten into the back area to see what's all back there, but I mean, it's really just suspension components. We got the drive shaft there, which again, it looks like a pre-purchased piece. I might try and slide over later and see if there's any information on any of this stuff. But thus far, everything doesn't really have any identifying markings as far as the swap stuff. Anywho, we got our new wideband in place right there. It was pretty damn easy. I'm going to untwist all that wiring from tightening it down, so that we don't have any fraying or binding or anything going on with the wires, and then we'll see what we get. Yeah, so anywho, oh yeah, and we do have a hydraulic clutch here. Now which I want to look into, bleeding the system and getting all that old fluid out of there and see if that improves the feel, because there's something strange going on with the clutch hydraulics. They don't feel right. But I am more inclined to believe that it's inside the transmission here, that either the clutch spacing or something in there is not correct. But even if it was, I at some point would love to pull this motor out and verify everything, because that to me is just the smarter route. Man, those control knobs are dope though. Look at that. The bracing and all of the cutouts and you know, to lighten it up while keeping it extremely rigid. I mean, these are some nice arms. Really, really cool. Anywho, we're gonna get to it and we'll be back. Okay, so it's running a bit differently with the new sensor. It's surging a lot, and I'm finding that whistling sound is most definitely a vacuum leak. I was playing around with these plugs here, and I noticed that the pitch of that whistle would change. Watch this. Right? So we got a couple of vacuum leaks here somewhere, and that's what's making that exquisite whistle. So we're gonna have to track those down and seal them up. But I don't think we're gonna have much time today because the weather is very threatening, rain today. So it is what it is. Just gonna let it run for a minute. It's kind of got a self-learning thing, but I kind of want to let it run for a second and kind of clear itself out, see what it can figure out. And then we'll shut it down because it doesn't really have a radiator or a functional fan at the moment, and I don't want it overheating. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's our day, unfortunately. All right, well, slight miscalculation on my part. So this thing can and will overheat, and I'm assuming that's what it was because I took it down the road here real quick. And I did a couple laps of it before out on the yard, but it didn't do this to me. But this time it shut off and it wouldn't cut back on. I let it sit for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. It turned on and I was able to drive it back after trying to drag it with my truck, which was no fun. Pushing these bastards around is fucking difficult. I'm still out of breath. When you have a welded differential, it's just awful. This thing goes really well in a straight line, but if you have to turn it all, yeah, good luck. Anyway, we do not have an adequate power source to run our laptop so that we can get into the computer, and then the computer was not seeing the Megasquirt 3 to begin with, so there's something I need to figure out there. At any rate, we're about out of time for today. The weather is getting spotty. We're just going to wrap it up and call it a day. Every time I come out here, I get a better idea of what I'm dealing with this car, and so that's kind of helpful. Little at a time. I'm not trying to go crazy on this damn thing. So disappointing, because I would have liked to be able to get into the tune and see what we're working with, but it's not looking like that's in the cards today, given our weather. So let's go finish our walk of shame and go get my truck over yonder. We were stuck all the way down there at that fucking stop sign after going up that way and turning around, and this seemed to be running a little bit better. I was able to get on it a bit, but I think what we're dealing with is poor tune. I think it's fuel starvation and some other stuff like that. So, and that's another thing that I didn't check, was to make sure there's adequate fuel in the tank. But if the tank was empty and we were out, then there wouldn't be no restarting the car and getting back in the yard the way that we did. Anyway, just stuff to figure out, right? And me, as usual, doing things willy-nilly is like a dumbass, is not quite working out. But I limited how far I was going to get outside of the yard for a reason, because it was entirely possible that this would happen. I've got my truck, I've got the straps, worst comes to worst. I'd MacGyvered some bullshit and towed the bitch back inch by inch, by myself. Which I did. I got it about halfway. All right, that's it for us today, man. No more fucking shenanigans today. See you. Okay, so we got these 4 RTV'd up and put in place. I'll zip tie them after. I RTV'd this back one here. It needs a cap of some kind. One of the caps fell inside the valley. So I think I'll wrap it with electrical tape and RTV over that. I'm pretty sure that between the two that should be enough to seal those. We need to find out what else is open, because when I was putting pressure, the caps on, I could hear a whistle from somewhere else. So there's another one of these little thingies that's open somewhere here, and I need to find it. We removed the shroud to kind of get a better look down there and see what's going on. It's over here. This fan is fucking destroyed. And that's, to be honest, that's a trash fan. I'm not going to want that on this. I'm going to try and see if I can find a couple better ones. But I need to get a measurement of those holes in the fan so I can get those on order and have those put into place. They were not wired. The ground cable was disconnected, which explains why the fans aren't coming on. So that power wire very well may go to one of these switches. I can see that it goes inside the chassis there. We're going to go ahead and try the ECU here in a second and see if we can't get any readings, which would be fantastic. And then then it'll be time to kind of start it up and see what we get. I'd like to give the RTV a little more time to set up so it's not being sucked in, but I can't imagine the low vacuum idle being a bit of a problem. And hopefully the improved seal will allow us to trace back to the item that's causing the squeal. I'd like to remove these panels, these plug panels, and re-seal those, but we'll do that after we get it idling or whatever. But I gotta get the ACU on this and see if it'll even sync up and connect, and if we can see the gauges and see the sensors and whatever. I don't think I have to run it for that. Just need to turn on the ECU. So we're going to get to that, and we'll be back.